Find your way into a comfortable seated position. And bring your hands into prayer, close your eyes, and maybe wiggle a bunch. Do a couple twisty twists. Drop your shoulders a couple times. And with your eyes closed, just take a moment to notice how your day has been so far. What the quality of light is, the temperature, the weather. And then think of someone to dedicate your class to. And let's sound 3 ohms. Empty your breath first. Take a deep inhale. And then open your eyes, relax your hands. And yogi's choice. If you have a bolster, grab the bolster. If you have a blanket, you can grab the blanket. That's what I'm going to do. If you have no blanket and no bolster, but you have a carpet, you can actually roll up your yoga mat. What I want you to do is I want you to have a sausage, a rolled up blanket, yoga mat, or towel. And what you're going to do is you're going to put the towel at the base of your spine, yoga mat, rolled up, bolster, whatever you found, and bring yourself into what looks like butterfly. So you have your heels about 2 hands length away from your groin. And then you're going to roll down all the way. Hopefully the thing is long enough for your head. If not, you might need a separate pillow. But find the right place for you and let your legs get heavy and relaxed. Maybe you want to bring your arms up over your head. Maybe you want to have them down on your side today. A little bit more passive. It can be intense. It's not so relaxing to have your arms over your head in this position. And just find your way into a very atypical supported yin pose. Now, while your spine is supported and kind of helping open up your heart area and your chest area, your hips are still quite, tender because your knees are falling out to the side. So it's like a half supported thing. Maybe close your eyes, maybe not, and just settle into the pose. So today we can celebrate that Mercury goes direct. And for about 10 days, I think it is, maybe a week, all the planets are going direct until on May 2nd, that's more like a week, Pluto goes retrograde. And with the outer planets, it's quite normal that they're retrograde about half the time. So appearing to us on Earth as if they stop and go backwards. But it's a visual, it's an illusion. none of the planets stop and go backwards. They all keep on their trajectory, on their path. And when we're coming out of a Mercury retrograde, the change is where we wobble, where we often have the missteps, the accidents, the miscommunications. But as Mercury stations and moves direct, there may be some things that through the past 3.5 weeks we have rethought or restructured or reframed for ourselves, where we planned something, some things that we actually may find a new perspective on now. And as is the nature of Mercury, our best attitude is to move with it, is to move like can you pivot? Can you adjust? Can you adapt? And more than anything, it's really adapting our thinking, our perspective. It's not, it's not being loosey-goosey with your morality. It's not being cavalier with what is foundational in you, but it's more this left brain, this ability to exercise our thinking so we can ever strive to connect more to the divine, to connect more to source, to world harmony, to love. Now, whether you have your arms above you or right next to you, take one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. If we had a third hand, we would put it on our head. But our senses, we are always so aware of our head, of our thinking, of our thoughts. So maybe that's why we don't have free arms. And then release your arms down and let your elbows help you up. Oh, have a nice little nap. Remove the sausage. And maybe you need to wiggle, maybe you don't, maybe you just have the perfect length between your heels and your feet still, whatever it is, maybe it's 2-hand length or maybe a little bit more. Start to roll down, letting your head drop towards your feet. So bringing our upper body into the opposite movement in relationship to our lower body. We can feel how changing the one actually affects everything. So while half of this pose technically is exactly the same as the last pose, because we're bowing forward instead of bowing back, we have a completely different kind of collection of sensations, or more intense or less intense. So that's more of in the realm of adjustments and adapting, changing our perspective, changing the emphasis to feel different things, to notice different things. So in occult physiology, while in astrology, Mercury is always like left brain, left brain. In occult physiology, Mercury's connected to our lungs. So maybe just take a couple extra deep and slow breaths. Notice how lengthening your breath often will make you drop deeper into a forward bend, lengthening your exhales and your inhales. And with your inhale, start to roll up. Hug your knees in. Strap your head to the back of your neck. And inhale, lift up your gaze. Slide your right foot further away from you and take your left foot so that your ankle is on the outside of your thigh. And you can just let your left knee go. And then slide your right heel closer to your right buttocks. And we're doing a little yang. We're going to flex our left foot so it protects your knee because your leg is in about a 90-degree angle. The flexion of your foot is it's a safeguard for your knee. You can feel the stretch in your buttocks. You can make adjustments with your hands, even if you're quite flexible. You can your heel close, lift it up more. Lift the chin up. Without like scrunching the back of your neck, really just adjust your chin up, and then look up and purse your lips. Just a touch of face yoga. Now, if you're worried about creating too many lines around your lips, you can always do the same action with your chin. Look up and actually notice what pressing your tongue to the roof of your mouth does. I prefer the lip in that variation, the lip thruster, and then drop your chin back down. Notice if maybe you can bring your heel a little closer or re-lift your chest up a little bit more. Often we can collapse in the heart area here. And then spin your fingers. So your fingers pointing towards your butt. And we're going to do a little transformation. Push down your right foot and lift up your hips. Drop your head back. Keep lifting up your hips. Then bring your chin to your chest. And just in terms of adapting, we're going to do a couple of weird push-ups. So bend your elbows. 3, and straighten them. 2, 1. And then bring your butt down on the ground. Slide your right foot forward and let your right knee drop out to the side, and you're catching your left foot like it's a little baby, like the foot is the head, and you have your arms wrapped around your knee, and just rock the baby. Oh, but feel it, the movement kind of opening up your hip a little bit more, and then stretch your leg long. Maybe you have to work it out. Maybe wiggle both of your legs. Roll your ankles a little bit. And then bring your left foot to the floor. And we're going to do the other side. So you bring your right ankle to the outside of your knee. And either hang out here or make the adjustments you need to make it a little bit more intense. Remember to flex your right foot, letting your right knee be heavy and drop away from you. So this is, you can feel and see that this is like a variation of pigeon pose, swan pose, sleeping swan pose. Or you can also kind of identify that, yeah, whew, that was done. I'm sure you can identify things. You're a smart cookie. No, that's what I was going to say. Sometimes we call this posture figure 4, or like you can do this in a seated variation. You can do it reclining on your back for eye of the needle. And so all of these variations are very wonderful because you're putting gravity in a slightly different place, but the body's position is quite similar. And so it just puts different emphasis, different nuances on the same shape because you're changing the relationship. We're going to have to hang out here a little bit more before it's time to get lifted. You can notice if one side is more compliant than the other, or if one side is more impatient than the other. You know, Mercury as a planet, it moves really quickly. It's the planet closest to the sun and has the connection of being the messenger of the gods. So when we apply that title to our left brain, oh baby, here you go. How you think, how you understand, how you know the world is really how you are able to take messages to the divine as well as receive them. All right, spin your fingers towards your bum. Push down on your left foot. Lift up your hips. If your neck's okay, drop your head back. If it's not, you can always bring your chin to your chest. Feel your right knee heavy, left hip working. And let's do, 3, no, let's do 5 upside down, weird little push-ups. 3, 2, 1. Yay! Bring your hips back down. And slide your left foot and catch the bottom of your right foot with the crook of your elbow. And you got another little baby. Rock the baby. Feel how this just opens up your hip a little bit more. And then release your leg. Shake it out. Wiggle your feet side to side. And then to complete our hip journey, I think it calls for a dragonfly. So if you do have your blanket handy, you are always welcome to use it as a block, and you just lift your hips up onto the block. Especially if you have back pain or issues, you really want to go into this with a neutral spine. So you lightly engage your stomach. That's not true. You lightly engage your abdominals, and then start to hinge your body forward. Now, if you have more space, you can start to walk your hands in front of you, keeping a neutral spine for as long as possible. And then once you run out of stretch, that's where you hang out. You can use the blanket underneath your head, the bolster, whatever you have. Maybe you don't need it. Maybe your hands are cushioned enough, or you're lucky enough that your hands are at the end of your forearms and your elbows can just bend, and so you can hold your head. So Mercury is such a fast planet. It's so over busy, just like our left brain, that it rules actually two astrological signs. It rules both Gemini and the other one, Gemini and Virgo. So Gemini is the air sign and Virgo's the earth sign. Mutable earth. But with this picture of ruling an air sign and an earth sign, I really like, like Mercury's job is like communicating from between heaven and earth, the sky, the air, and the earth. And, again, what happens when we take this mythological picture and apply it to how we want to treat our left brain? That our thinking, our capacity to think, is part of how we connect to the divine and how we connect to the earth. You may notice after a little while in the pose, you can also soften further down. Now, you may notice this pose is also a place in your practice over months or years. You'll start to notice more flexibility coming into your body. And if you're not noticing more flexibility coming into your body, oddly enough, speaking of Mercury and the lungs, One of the biggest shifts in my own yoga biography and body flexibility was actually learning to use the Ujjayi breath in my Ashtanga practice. And that gave me the biggest kind of leap in flexibility that I'm cognizant of. And so being disciplined in our breathing, for me, being disciplined in the breathing with doing the Ujjayi breath delivered more freedom in my earthly body. Sarah Powers, who is one of my yin teachers, she talks about doing a gentle Ujjayi breath when we're doing yin yoga. So while when we're doing vinyasa, we really have this kind of Darth Vader, you know, my buddy, Darth Vader baby. We have this like kind of aggressive, loud breathing practice, especially in the beginning of our practice. In the yin yoga, then it's this like softer version of it. So you still contract the back of your throat like you're going to do a stage whisper. And try to create kind of a hollowness in your breath. She also includes in her yin practice that we do engage our bandhas, but even more lightly than when we do yang vinyasa. Mind you, even in the yang vinyasa, the instructions for bandhas there's a lightness there. It's not this aggressive, like sphincter clenching kind of situation. It's more of a tension, like a focus point, an activation. Now start to walk your hands back and come about halfway. And this is a nice place to actually practice your root lock. So if you've never practiced your root lock before, you want to kind of feel the skin between your sex organ and your anus. You want to see if you can feel that on the ground. And then lift that space up towards your body. And you'll notice that it's actually usually more accessible if your feet are flexed. So it's not very yin. It takes an art to do them in the yin poses. Just try a couple times, notice what happens, and then complete the journey, bringing your hands back towards your hips. And we have another little yang moment here. So push the ground down, lift up your butt, or maybe see if today's the day where you're going to levitate. Oh, and that usually gives me the Charlie horse in the thighs. Check, but playing around with it a little bit. And then take your elbows high and do a couple of twists here. And the next time you twist to your right, allow your belly button to twist a little bit more and roll down, dropping your head towards your right knee. Feeling the stretch along your left side body. So in our yin practice, as well as our yang practice, we engage the root lock as we just practiced. And the next lock that we look at is called the Uddiyana Bandha. And it's 2 fingers below your belly button. And when we're twisted like that, it kind of feels like And if you lightly engage that spot, it kind of feels like you're doing it on one side of your body, left more so than on the other side, but try it anyways. Just pull that spot, 2 fingers below your belly button, pull it towards your spine. Notice that maybe it helps you engage your root lock as they work quite lovely together. And deepen your breath. Let your elbows be heavy. And then inhale, roll up your head, your chest, keeping your hands on either side of your right leg. Lift up your butt. And then lift up your elbows and do another little joggy dance. Next time your belly button twists over your left leg, do a little extra twist and soften down towards your left knee, letting your head drop and be heavy. See if again you can engage your root lock. See if you can find engaging your Uddiyana Bandha. Does it feel a little bit like on this side you're just engaging the right side? I have to remind myself to let my right elbow get heavy. Notice what kind of quirky or idiosyncrasies you discover in your pose. And then start to walk your hands towards you. Bring your hands about mid-thigh and lift up your butt. And then take your hands under your knees, gather your knees back, and again, hug your knees in and drop your head towards your knees. And then stretch your body long, coming onto your left-hand side like you're at the beach. And, there's some days where I would rather be on a couch than be on a yoga mat. So we'll just do a little compromise. We're going to try Vishnu's couch. So stretch. First, let's see. Put your right hand in front of your ribs. And then see if you can just lift your right leg up. And see if you can then bring your left leg to your right leg. And then see if you can lay your head down on your arm. And then see if you can lift up your arm and your head, your left arm and your left head. And then see if maybe you can stretch your right hand down your thigh. You might feel more like this posture is called a fish pose instead of a couch pose. And then see if you can lift up your legs and your arm. Maybe a hint of a smile. And then release. Whew. And take your right leg straight out from your right hip. Sweep it forward. And we're going to turn this into a yin moment. So your right leg stretches out. You let your shoulders drop to the ground if it's there for you. If it's too much, you can keep your left hand underneath your head and then reach back and see if you can grab onto your right heel. if your shoulders are on the ground and you're grabbing your right heel, some people are flexible enough to even hold onto their left toe with their left hand. And if you're not feeling a stretch on the left front of your thigh, you can always experiment by moving your left knee around a little bit, see where it gets juicy, and then find the softness. So a good messenger works for both the both parties or all parties. There's no, messages aren't just sent in one direction. So if we think about Mercury as the left brain, and that we have to have such variation in our thinking capacity in our left brain, that there's an infinite, seemingly infinite amount of ways that God can deliver messages to the world through every individual. I find it a useful reminder to remember that other people think differently, And with astrology, when you look at all the different relationships that Mercury can have in the chart, it's surprising we understand each other at all. And then release, rolling onto your back. Hug your knees in and just roll back and forth in your spine, giving yourself a little bit of a massage. Now, yogi's choice, I'm going to flip around. So I'm doing a 180 so I don't have to just face away from the camera. But whoever you like to, come onto your second side. For one more time, trying Vishnu's couch. And let's start already by having our right ear on our right arm and our right hand stretching long. Our left hand is kind of our training wheel in front of our, between our hips and our ribs. And then lift up your left leg. It's about like a foot higher above your right, maybe a little higher if you're feeling ambitious. And then see if you can lift up your right leg to meet your left leg. You're probably thinking, oh my gosh, my side abdominals. That's totally not the accurate word. We often, we're so focused on the center. All right. Now, see if you can lift up your head, lift up your arm. I'm facing my right palm up. And then maybe you can stretch your left arm down your left thigh. Allow yourself to lift both ends. Maybe find one side is more challenging than the other. Woo-hoo! And then release and sweep your left leg out. If it's there for you, come back onto your shoulders. Otherwise, keep your right hand underneath your head. And either way, grab onto your right foot, pulling your heel towards the buttocks. Maybe you're flexible enough to hold on to your left toes with your right hand. Remember to breathe. I mean, thank goodness our body remembers without us having to think it every time. But when we remind ourselves to allow our breath to be rhythmical in our yoga practice, it can really help stay in the practice deeper. And then release and roll onto your back. Roll back and forth a couple of times. And then roll up into a seated position. And you're going to bring your left heel towards your groin. And one more time, you're going to pick up your baby. Hey, baby. And rock your baby one more time. Remember to lift up your chest. Now, let me just switch this here. Now we're going to forget that it's a baby and pretend like our leg is a crankshaft, an old-fashioned part of cars. So you're holding, and instead of going back and forth, just take your foot into kind of circles here, keeping your knee stabilized. Groovy. Now, you're going to try to bring your right knee over your right shoulder. Ta-da. Huh? Yep. How you doing? Maybe just kiss your foot just because you can. And then you take your left hand to the outside of your right leg. And you're going to see if maybe you can start to straighten your right leg up. You can put your hand down on the ground. Yay. So even if you're just attempting it and it's not quite there yet, breathe into the stretch, breathe into the challenge. And then keeping your knee behind your shoulder if you can, one last little challenge. You're going to see if you can hook. I'm going to spin on my yoga mat so that I will be able to then go to chaturanga. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up my left foot and put it on top of my right foot. And then I'm going to put my hands down into chaturanga. And as I straighten my leg, I'm going to straighten my arms, lift my butt up. Yeah? So I'll show you that again. So here I am in this awkward, oh my gosh, my leg's over my shoulder pose. I bring my foot down. I bring my left foot on top of, and I'm flexing my right foot. And then I put my hands on the ground and I straighten my legs as I lift my butt. And then I have chaturanga arms. Try it out. Whoo, whoo, whoo. And then shake it out. And I know you must be so excited. We have another side. So lift up your baby. A little rocking. Maybe you like the other baby better. Going back and forth. And then transform your baby into a crankshaft. So you're going to hold the bottom of your foot, stabilize your knee, and just make some circles kind of going away from you, I guess you would say. So the crankshaft is very old-fashioned. It's how you used to have to start cars. So you crank the shaft for it to start. All right, I don't know about you, but my knee is making some funny sounds, but nothing, I don't feel anything. So just notice if there's pain and you chill out a little bit. Now, see if you can reach your left knee behind your left shoulder, put your left hand on the ground, and then maybe stretch out your leg. Noticing which side is smoother, more flexible. Feel the beautiful stretch on the right side body. And then bring your leg back down, keeping your knee behind your shoulder and going and turning into a sage pose. So you're going to hook your right foot on top of your left foot. Put your hands into chaturanga arms. Lift up your butt up. You have to be able to straighten your legs. So if the walls in your way move, lift your butt, straighten your legs. Oh yeah, that was more accessible for me on the other side. I'm going to try it again. So hoisting the leg, poking my right foot on top of my left foot, chaturanga arms. No, this side's really hard. Are you doing it, Sabine? Are you doing it? One last try, just for good luck. There you go. Okay, bring your butt back down. Place your feet on the ground. And just very slowly lower yourself down. We're gonna do one glorious push-up before we twist out our practice and come into Shavasana. So yogi's choice. You can come up into wheel. You can come up into, wheel into handstand if you want and back again, or just come up into bridge, or you can do wheel with some push-ups. Finishing off your wheel, hug your knees in, and then drop both of your knees to your left. Stretch your right arm out to the right, look to the right, take a full inhale and sigh it out. And then return to center. And drop both of your knees to the right. Looking to the left, your left arm stretching out. And then hug your knees back to center. Lift up your face, kiss your knees, thank you. And stretch your legs long for Shavasana. Start to deepen your breath. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Wiggle your face. Over your hands, exhale, bend your right arm and use it as a pillow, coming into a fetal position. Just feel the vibrancy in your body. What's it communicating to you? And then help yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Bring your hands to heart center. Close your eyes. Lift up an image of the person you dedicated your class to. Even think about the people who came up for you and on your yoga mat today, the people who we practiced with. And let's close our practice with one Om. Empty your breath. Take a deep inhale. Bring your prayer hands to your third eye. Invite the divine light. And as we bow forward, together we say, Namaste. And so much love. Woo-hoo. Well done. Way to be able to pivot. Hope to see you soon.